He's like a brother to me. It never. She insisted. I believed her. A year later, I saw them celebrating their anniversary. Built on my ruin. Now, I'm back. And they just walked into the bar where I work. They haven't seen me yet. The shock on their faces is going to be priceless. It's been over a year. And I'm still trying to sort through the wreckage of what they did. Sometimes I feel like I'm finally getting a grip. And then a picture, a memory, or a stupid song comes on. And I'm right back there. It started with Tom. My first real college boyfriend. He wasn't just funny. He was the kind of funny that made you feel smarter just by getting the joke. We'd stay up until 3 a.m. talking about philosophy and books. And had listened to my half-baked theories like they were gospel. I was completely smitten. He was the one who dragged me to my first open mic night. Telling me I was too hilarious not to be on a stage. I still do stand up. And a sick part of me hates that he gave me that. I fell for him hard and fast. After a few months, it was time for the big step. Meeting the friends. He wasn't a huge social butterfly. Just had a small, tight-knit circle. One of them was Emma. Had known her since high school. Here's the detail that mattered. Or at least, the one I told myself mattered. I was 20. And she was 17. She'd skipped a grade or something. My first thought when he told me about her was a little jolt of pride. I'm the cool girlfriend. I told myself. I'm totally fine with him having female friends. I have guy friends. A relationship is all about trust. Plus, she was a literal high school kid. I felt so mature and secure. The day we met was one of those weird, movie plot coincidences. He brought her over. And we figured out she lived in the neighborhood directly behind my parents' house. It clicked then. Years ago. I'd been messing around with a bow and arrow and accidentally shot one into her backyard. She looked at me and said, "Wait. That was you." And ran to her room. She came back holding the arrow. We just stared at each other and burst out laughing. It felt like fate. From that moment, we were inseparable. She was the little sister I never had. And just like that, me and Tom became me. Tom. And Emma. Our hangouts were almost always a threesome. Movie nights. Study sessions at the library. Late night Taco Bell runs. She was just always there. It was fun. For a while. It felt like I'd gotten a two-for-one deal. The perfect boyfriend and a new best friend. But they were just so close. They had this way of communicating with just a look. Finishing each other's sentences. It started to feel less like I was part of a trio and more like I was watching a duo. One night, I just had to ask. I pulled Emma aside while Tom was getting us drinks. Hey. Totally no big deal. And I'm not mad or anything. But I have to ask. Did you ever have a thing for him? She gave me this wide-eyed, almost offended look. Oh my God. No. Ew. Tom. He's like a brother to me. The relief that washed over me was so intense. Of course. A brother. I was being crazy and insecure. I shoved that nagging voice down and locked it away. I trusted her. I trusted him. I had a guy who championed my dreams and a best friend who felt like family. I felt so lucky. I guess that was the point. Right. To make sure I felt too lucky to see what was right in front of my face. Has anyone else ever been in that spot? Where you consciously choose to ignore a red flag because the person waving it is someone you love. The next year, Emma graduated and came to our college. Just like the plan had been. But the second she was on campus and officially 18, it was like a switch flipped in Tom. He was still funny and smart. But it wasn't for me anymore. He became distant. Evasive. Plans we'd make would fall through. He'd say he was busy with school. But I'd see pictures on social media of him out with friends. The first real gut punch was a comedy show. He knew how much I loved going. How important it was to me. He mentioned a big headliner was coming to a club downtown and how excited he was. I assumed we were going together. The next morning, I saw pictures of him there with his buddies. And with Emma. They'd all spent the night there. My stomach just dropped. He hadn't even thought to invite me. When I asked him about it, he just shrugged. It was a last-minute thing. After that, a new rule seemed to fall into place. Unspoken but rigid. He only wanted to hang out if Emma was there. I'd try to make plans for just us. A date night. And he'd say something like, "Cool. I'll see if Emma's free." It became a constant source of tension. I felt like a third wheel in my own relationship. I wasn't his girlfriend anymore. I was just the other person in the room with him and Emma. The breaking point came a few weeks later. I hadn't heard from him in 2 days. Not a text. Not a call. Nothing. My brain went into overdrive. Is he hurt? Did he lose his phone? No. That's stupid. He's ignoring me. The denial came next. No. He wouldn't. After hours of silence. My pride just shattered. I did the one thing I shouldn't have done. I texted Emma. Hey. Have you heard from Tom? He's not answering my texts. My phone buzzed a minute later. It was her. Oh hey. Yeah, I just heard from him. I'm actually on my way to hang out with him now. The world went silent. I read the text again. And then a third time. It wasn't the words. It was the casualness. The lack of "do you want to come?" The implication was clear. This was just for them. The thought hit me like a physical blow. Alone. They were hanging out alone after had ignored me for 2 days. That was it. That was the proof I'd been trying so hard not to find. I called him. And for once, he answered. I told him to come over. He showed up an hour later. Looking annoyed. And I just lost it. I asked him what was going on with him and Emma. He tried to deny it. But I had her text. The whole thing came out. He admitted he was cheating on me with her. Then he delivered the line that haunts me to this day. We only got together after she turned 18. The careful, legalistic wording of it. The lack of remorse. But the part that really makes me sick, the part that keeps me up at night, is that they both knew what was happening with my parents. My dad had been cheating on my mom for years. And our family had just imploded. I cried about it. I cried to Tom. I cried to Emma. They watched me sob on my couch about the absolute agony of being betrayed by someone you're supposed to trust unconditionally. And they were doing the same thing to me. The whole time. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was calculated. It was cruel. Am I crazy for thinking that's the worst part? The fact that they used my own trauma as a cover. Listening to me cry about being cheated on while they were actively doing it. The conversation, if you can call it that, ended with me screaming myself hoarse while he just stood there, taking it. It wasn't a victory. I just felt empty and sick. And the sickness didn't go away. It got worse. I started having anxiety attacks in the middle of class. In the grocery store. In my own damn bed. My depression. Something I'd managed for years. Came back with a vengeance and swallowed me whole. Being on campus was a constant trigger. Every corner. Every pathway. Every lecture hall held a memory of them. Of us. I couldn't breathe. It wasn't a choice. It was survival. I had to drop out. Things spiraled fast after that. My other friends didn't really get it. They'd say things like, "You just need to get over him." As if it were that simple. I couldn't explain that it wasn't a normal breakup. It was a fundamental betrayal of my trust in people. I felt totally alone. I hit a bottom so low last year that I tried to kill myself. When that didn't work, I knew I had to get out. I packed 2 bags, moved to a different city, and spent a year pouring drinks for strangers as a bartender. Just trying to feel numb and pay rent. I've been clawing my way back ever since. I'm back in therapy. On the right meds. I'm even enrolled in a new program for something I'm actually passionate about. And I finally come to terms with the fact that I'm bisexual. Which feels like I'm finally reclaiming a piece of myself. I was starting to feel like I was getting better. And then yesterday happened. I was just mindlessly scrolling through Instagram before bed. Tapping through stories. A post from an old college friend popped up. It was a group photo from some party. All smiles and red Solo cups. And there they were. Tom and Emma. Standing side by side. His arm draped possessively around her shoulders. They were beaming. The caption underneath. Full of hearts and champagne emojis. Read. So happy to be celebrating over a year of being together with these two. My thumb just froze on the screen. My brain immediately did the math. Over a year. They started their official story the second ours ended. There was no gap. No period of mourning or guilt. It confirmed everything I feared. Their relationship wasn't an accident. It was a plan. I wasn't his girlfriend. I was his placeholder. I was the emotional and, yeah, physical surrogate he used to pass the time until the high school girl he was grooming was finally of legal age. And they get to be happy. They get to have their anniversary posts and smiling pictures. All built on the foundation of my broken down life. They stomped all over my mental health, derailed my education, and almost killed me. And their consequence is a party. So here's my question. Reddit. I'm doing all the right things. I'm fighting to build a new life. But I'm still so upset. How are you supposed to heal when the people who broke you get to build their perfect life on top of the rubble of yours? How do you accept that they got away with it? And are celebrated for it? While you're still sweeping up the ashes.